Hi everyone, and cheers to 2022. I hope that you guys all have wonderful New Year's and just the whole year in general to come, and we can all wash away 2021 if it was mediocre like ours was. But we are hoping for the best in 2022, and so I decided to make some really obnoxious sunglasses like I did for my Halloween video, which I will have linked down below, but I thought they'd be super fun and extra to bring in New Year's. So let's jump right in. Cheers. Ooh, girl, we look stunning. Don't worry, there's more at the end. This is just a sneaky peeky, but I honestly think this is so fun. So I'm starting with a pair of sunglasses from Dollar Tree, okay? These were $1, and they are sassy AF, but I couldn't get the label off, so I learned this trick from my friend Jamie. I believe it was Jamie from Simple Rich Simple Living, where you can put a little bit of essential oils on there and it will peel off much easier, and then go on with a what's it called? Rubbing alcohol. Anyways, I should have been more patient with this because immediately I tried peeling it off, and I have tried this method before and it worked wonders. However, it was for a much smaller label. So I will suggest, if you have a bigger label like I do here, just give it a little time, give it a little love, give it a little rub, and eventually it will come off easy peasy. So once that stuff comes off, and I'm telling you, this works better than other methods I've used on other bottles or whatever else to get tags off. It really works a lot better. I'm using some 90% rubbing alcohol. You can use whatever you got. It's just what I happen to have. And I'm putting it onto a cotton round and rubbing off my sunglasses. But I did it in all areas because I was using an oil, and I don't want the paint that I'm about to use to repel that oil. So that's why I'm using it everywhere at this time. And I also made sure it was dry. I washed my hands with soap and water after this. You don't see it on here, but I made sure everything was clean and good to go so it wouldn't repel. I am using a small square or flat brush to paint my sunglasses. So they originally have like a dark leopard type of look, but I wanted them to be black to match the idea that I had in mind for my 2022 glasses. I'm using a multi-surface craft paint in the color black. These are from Plaid Crafts. I can totally link it below, but any acrylic black paint will work. I only did one layer because, to be honest, in the end result, you can't really tell. I did consider doing 2 layers, but I didn't because you couldn't see it. And I also want to mention that I do the outside and the edges. I don't do the inside nose-ish part because your natural oils will repel that, and we don't want some nasty flakes on our nose for New Year's, okay? Nobody wants that. You could also like tape the eyeglass part with painter's tape to make sure it's secure. I chose not to do that because I thought it'd be too much hassle, so I'm just doing my best here. I do the outside and part of the inside up to close to where your ears and your nose are, and I'm doing very carefully the areas that are near the nose because, again, those natural oils will repel that and will make it flake. So to shape our words or our letters in this case, numbers in this case, we're using some heavy-duty tinfoil. So the last time I used some like weak foil sheets from the Dollar Tree, which are fine, but I found that these worked a little bit better. So I'm using a cheap heavy-duty off-brand tinfoil, and I'm just rolling it up as tiny, as crunched as much as I can. I will say later on, I do add some of that cheaper foil in the middle to bulk it up a bit because this ends up a little too thin for my preference, I guess. But anyways, you're just using foil and crunching and rolling it up as small as possible to create a long snake in Play-Doh terms, or tube. Once it is all rolled up, as you can see, we are forming it into a number. You can do this with letters or numbers, doesn't matter. Like I said, I did this for Halloween and wrote the word boo in cursive. In this case, I'm writing 2022 for the new year, which I'm excited about because I just want to welcome all great, wonderful new things into my life. And I did putz around with my 2 a few times to make sure it was the 2 I liked. You don't have to settle for less if it's not what you like. Just keep molding it until it is the shape or number or letter that you like. Once you've figured it out and you've got the process down, you're going to keep doing this for each letter or number. In this case, again, I'm doing numbers because I'm doing 2022 for the new year. And I will say, again, it takes practice and it can be difficult at times, but just keep trying. I genuinely feel like the trickiest part of this DIY, not just in this video, but also in the Halloween one, is like figuring out where to connect your letters or numbers. So I actually end up changing my mind after this, and I disconnect both tubes because I feel like it looks more like an M or a letter or something else. Like you really can't tell it's 2022. So I do end up changing it later. That's something to consider, but also know that it's okay to change along the process. When you are connecting, I do use extra foil to connect it. Also keep in mind that you're going to wrap this in masking tape in a minute, and that masking tape will totally change everything and will connect it much better than you have it now. Like I said, I have these ones connected in spots that I don't end up keeping later. I do end up changing it once I get to the masking tape level or section, so just keeping that in mind while you're working really helps a lot. And I'm also using some tinfoil to thicken up some areas where it felt a little too thin compared to other areas. Then I start taping. So I have a thicker masking tape, but you can definitely use a thinner one. I honestly rip this one in half when I'm doing it. I'm probably doing like 6-inch sections and then ripping that in half because it's easier that way. But you're going to wrap this entire thing in masking tape. Again, I just happen to have a thicker one. It's okay. As you can see here, I'm ripping it in half. If there's an area you still feel is lacking in thickness, I do a layer of masking tape and then do it again over that with the second layer. Again, the most important part is getting those intersections or wherever they cross. Again, I separated all of the tubes essentially, but I'm using a little bit of tin foil or aluminum foil to connect them just barely, and then I'm going to come in with the masking tape to really secure them. once it's all good and taped, then I am coming in with some black paint, the same black paint from the sunglasses earlier. It's just a multi-surface folk art paint from Plaid. If you guys don't know, I am a Plaid ambassador, so I will leave the link to that down below. And I'm just going to give it a nice coat around the entire thing. I will say off camera, I do go back into just like little nitty gritty details of spots that I may have missed. But anyways, I'm just doing one coat on the top because this black is nice and pretty opaque. So I didn't feel like it needed two coats. But if you have one that is pretty thin and you can see the masking tape in, you could totally do a second coat. Also, you could make this any color. I'm choosing to do black just in the theme of New Year's because I like black, silvers, and gold for New Year's. But again, you could totally make this any color scheme that you wanted. And once you've got the front completely, not taped, what am I saying? Painted, you're going to flip it over and paint the back. I won't put you through the pain of watching that, but just know you paint the front and the back. And then I went in again off camera to fill in some of the details. I also waited quite a while for it to dry. You could totally use a blow dryer and dry it faster that way, but I was just hanging out and having a good time, so I just sat and waited. Now I'm going in with some hot glue and some pipe cleaners. These are silver ones that I believe I got at Dollar Tree around Christmas time, maybe, is when they have them, I think. But you are going to need plenty of these. I think in the end I used about 10, so just keep that in mind. If you have pipe cleaners at home, but you only have like 5 of the color you want, it's probably not going to work. You could alternate them too if you have different colors. I just chose to go with silver around the entire thing. And I am hot gluing it section by section, so just like 2 inches at a time, and really taking my time with this. I do recommend using one of those like finger protectors because I did burn myself 3 times. Only one of them blistered, but I mean, nobody wants to blister from hot glue. It's not fun. So that would be my advice here. But just take your time with it and really get it in the corners. Masking tape and hot glue are pretty good friends, and so is pipe cleaner. So it goes pretty well together, which I'm realizing doesn't make sense. What I mean to say is they adhere well together. All right, so I've reached the end of my 2022. Something that I decided to do that I didn't do in my last sunglasses is to separate the numbers. Although technically my last ones were in cursive, so I guess that makes sense. Anyways, I decided to take a little tiny piece of pipe cleaner and glue it anywhere where the numbers would separate. So at the end of the 2, and then on the other side of the O where the other 2 begins, and again after, or where the last 2 2s intersect. Wow, that's confusing. But anyways, I think it added a really nice touch, and I'm pretty happy I did this. I was afraid initially that the numbers would kind of blend and you wouldn't be able to read it, or it would just look like weird shapes. Like, I think people would get the point because it's New Year's, but I really think that this added a lot. So totally recommend, but it's totally your choice as well. The other thing is we have to make sure that we get pipe cleaners inside the O so that it's totally framed by pipe cleaners. Yay, so once that's all framed, it is looking super good so far. And the next part that we're going to do is to fill it with some alternating colored rhinestones, or I don't know what to call them. They're just silver and gold. They're not like clear sparkly. You could totally make this however you want. The artist who it's inspired by, her Instagram account is imakestagram. I'll leave it in my description box. I think her name is Rachel. I can't remember. But she likes to put pom-poms in the middle. I don't have pom-poms of colors I'd really want to use for this, and again, I'm going for that silver and gold theme. So I thought these cool, like, oh, they're studs. They're more like studs. These cool gold and silver studs would be perfect. And I picked up these at Dollar Tree as well. I got 2 packs of them, which was just perfect because it comes with more gold than it does silver. And I do end up running out of silver at the end and having to open 1 pack for 1 silver gem. But again, use whatever stickers, gems, pom-poms, whatever you want. I've got mine spaced probably about a 1/2 inch apart from each one. I just kind of eyeballed it. Which is, kind of my style, but you could totally be more meticulous and measure it if you really wanted to. Something I did make sure to do is when there's like an intersection, so where the 2 meets the O, or the 0, I ended the 2 with one color and started the O with the other. So if it ends in gold, I started with silver. It helped reinforce the idea of alternating and separating the numbers from each other. Thought I would skip ahead a little bit here so you didn't have to watch me bedazzle this whole thing. But this is a really good time to like watch a movie or listen to a podcast because it's really honestly kind of like relaxing. That's just this repetitive action. So I definitely would say it's a great time for that. I didn't end up putting one on. I don't know why. But yeah, it's a great, actually this whole project is kind of good for that because it's a lot of repetitive action, right? Lots of rolling tinfoil, lots of taping. Lots of, it's just a lot of repetitive actions, but it's great for just having like some background noise or a movie going on in the background. Once you've got all your numbers bedazzled, then it is time to frame our sunglasses with pipe cleaners as well. So this makes it more coherent in the sense of like the outlining of that with pipe cleaners along with our sign here. The last time I made glasses, I just used hot glue. And though they didn't last me several wears, at the end they were really falling apart and I was like crazy taping them. So this time I'm doing a different method to see if it holds a little bit better and to see if it will secure to the numbers better. So I am I'm alternating with E6000 and hot glue here, which it does feel sturdier. However, I've only worn them like once, so I don't know the durability. But that's just the method I chose to use this time around. If you don't have E6000, you could try a clear drying super glue. The super glue I have right now is pretty liquidy, even though it says it's gel, so it like takes a while to adhere. But if you have a jelly more instant one, I think that would work. I feel like the runnier ones end up having kind of a frosty look to them, but I guess it just depends on the glue you're using. So anyways, yeah, I'm just going around my frames with the same color pipe cleaners. I don't go around the like ear part just because it's not necessary, but you could. You could also bling out the like side. What are these side parts called of sunglasses? I don't know. The ear part, you could bling them out too with gemstones or whatever you've got at home. Just giving a tip here, I removed any of my E6000 in my paint with just a paper towel and some rubbing alcohol. Mine is pretty high grade. I think it's like 90%, so it works pretty well. But it really removes stuff quite easily. So I just thought I would throw this little tip in there. So I am removing some of the hot glue little strands. Well, I removed some with my fingers, but I also just melted a few with my lighter. Just be careful. You could also take like an old toothbrush and just kind of lightly brush over it. That would totally take care of it. I tried it with a pipe cleaner, but it didn't really work. So that's just the method I chose to use. It worked okay. I was kind of afraid that it would set like the pipe cleaners on fire or something, so I didn't, go too heavy with the lighter there. Now, again, I am using a 2-glue method here, the E6000 for a more permanent hold, hot glue for an immediate hold, and I'm gluing my numbers to my sunglasses. It happened to work out really well. There's 2 areas where it rested kind of naturally, so that's just where I'm holding it in place. You'll see in a second here that I do reinforce it with some extra hot glue just to make sure it's really kind of filling in all the gaps, and I also reinforce it on the back as well. One little tip or trick that I did, again different this time than last time, is I took a little bit more pipe cleaner and reinforced it with some extra glue on the front and on the back. So ideally, E6000 needs to dry overnight, but I was really excited, so I let it dry for like an hour before having to try it out, and I'm obsessed. You guys, what do you think about these? I seriously love them. Check these out. Okay, this picture's kind of blurry. Sorry, guys. That's okay. Yeah, I think these turned out absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to wear them on New Year's. See you next time. Bye.